The rain had finally stopped. After days of mourning, thunder, and tears, the city skyline shimmered under the damp moonlight. For Dr. Paul Fortune, a 42-year-old physician with a quiet heart and tired eyes, the night was supposed to be peaceful. A night to rest, to breathe again after burying his mother-in-law. He looked at his wife, Marilyn, and smiled faintly. "Let's spend the night at a hotel," he said, resting his hand over hers. "You've been through enough, love." "We both have." She nodded. For once, silence between them felt comforting. They didn't know that silence would soon turn into horror. The hotel was calm, tucked beside the river bridge, a beautiful suite scented with fresh lilies and rain. They had barely settled in when Paul's phone rang. 7:30 p.m. The voice on the other end was polite, familiar, one of his longtime patients. "Doctor, please, I need to see you tonight. It's urgent. I feel like I'm dying." Paul hesitated. The voice trembled, desperate. His instinct as a healer overruled his exhaustion. Marilyn placed her hand on his arm. "Are you sure, Paul? It's been a long day." He kissed her forehead. "Just a few minutes. I'll check on him and be back. We'll grab something to eat on the way." Fate was already waiting at the hospital gate. The hospital lights glowed faintly when they arrived. The corridors were empty, the night guards asleep, but the patient never came. No call, no message, just silence, and that same uneasy feeling crawling up Paul's spine. After an hour waiting, they decided to leave. "Let's pick up something from the restaurant and head back," Marilyn suggested. As they left the restaurant, the rain began again, soft like whispers. They were barely halfway across the Riverside Bridge when it happened. The first gunshot shattered the night. Paul slammed the brakes. An SUV sped past and screeched sideways, blocking the bridge. Another one came behind, cutting off their escape. "Paul!" Marilyn screamed. 5 men in mismatched military uniforms jumped out, rifles raised. The headlights flared, shadows danced. Before Paul could react, the door was ripped open. A gun but struck his temple. The last thing he heard before darkness swallowed him was Marilyn's scream echoing across the bridge. "Paul!" He woke up blindfolded. His shirt was torn and tied around his eyes, his wrists bound with wire. The air smelled of damp soil and gunmetal. Rough hands dragged him across the forest floor. Branches tore his skin. Thorns dug into his legs. "Please, where are you taking me?" he whispered. A voice bat back, "Shut up and keep moving." After what felt like miles, they stopped beneath a massive tree. His hands were tied above his head, feet shackled with a dog chain. He was left there like an offering, a man of science bound by savagery. The blindfold pressed against his face until breathing hurt. "Please," he begged. "I can't breathe." A grunt answered. One of them loosened the cloth slightly. Then silence. Only the forest spoke. The shriek of owls, the distant growl of wild dogs, the crackle of insects in the dark. It was a night that lasted forever, a night that whispered death in every sound. Paul prayed quietly. "God, please, if I must die, let my wife not suffer. But if you can, deliver me from these monsters." Morning came slowly, gray and cold. 2 of the kidnappers remained behind, silent watchers. When others returned, they demanded numbers. "Your wife, your friends. Give us everyone who loves you. You've been kidnapped for ransom." With trembling lips, he gave him the numbers he could remember. He heard them call Marilyn. The sound of her crying on the phone broke him more than any beating could. Hours turned into days. They fed him once. Water poured between his lips. Stale bread forced into his mouth. Rain soaked him. Insects bit his flesh. The stench of rot and fear filled the air. They told him on the 3rd day, $5 million. If not, we'll cut you up and leave your body at every street corner. Paul closed his eyes. $5 million? His family could never raise that. He felt the walls of hopelessness closing in. By the 4th night, hunger and exhaustion had blurred the lines between reality and nightmare. The 2 guards wandered off, leaving him momentarily alone. He could feel the chain cutting into his ankles, the rust biting his skin. "Run," a voice whispered in his mind. "Don't," Another replied, "They'll kill you before you take 10 steps." He stayed. 20 minutes later, they returned. One of them dragged a dead rabbit. Their dinner, he realized he'd just survived death by hesitation. On the 5th day, they brought him water. "If your people cooperate today, you'll go home," one said, smirking. They tried to unlock the padlock on his leg chain, but the key was missing. "We'll shoot it open," another suggested. Paul screamed, "No, please, no. You'll kill me." For once, mercy won. They carried him, one arm over each shoulder, to the SUV parked near the edge of the forest. The vehicle bounced over rough roads for hours until it stopped. "Get out." They dropped him by an open field, a lonely expanse under the moon. He was too weak to stand, but through the bushes ahead, he saw faint car lights flickering on a distant road. "Hope!" He crawled, through mud, thorns, and cold air that sliced the skin. Each movement was agony, but he kept going. An hour later, he reached the road and collapsed by the side. Cars whooshed past, drivers too afraid to stop for a bloodied stranger. He screamed, voice cracking, "Help! Somebody help me!" Finally, a van slowed, then reversed. It was a police van. They lifted him gently, wrapped him in a blanket, and drove him away. Paul wept, the kind of tears that come only from those who have seen death and lived to tell of it. Within days, the kidnappers were caught. Surveillance cameras near the ransom drop had captured their faces. Dr. Paul Fortune lived, scarred but alive. Sometimes he still wakes up at night, hearing the echoes of that forest, the rustle of chains, the voice saying, "Shut up and keep moving." But now, when he kneels to pray, he says only 3 words: "Thank you, God." Because on that cold December night, when darkness claimed everything, grace found him.